Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending this presentation. My study is titled The Impact of Sea Level Rise on Caltrans District 7 Roadways, Verifying Roadway Vulnerability Along the State Route 1 Corridor, and the subject of this evaluation is as follows. Impacting over 1,600 miles of currently vulnerable coastal roads and highways, sea level rise has become one of the greatest existential threats facing all coastal infrastructure in California. Without additional information relating to sea level rise impacts along the State Route 1 corridor, Caltrans will have difficulty anticipating and identifying future roadway needs. In order to justify large expenditures, the state requires exhaustive evaluation that surpasses the current level of evaluation conducted for the State Route 1 roadway segment. By conducting this study with the most up-to-date sea level rise projections and cross-referencing with past sea level rise related emergency projects, the state will be able to exhaustively verify which assets are truly the highest priority for implementing future adaptation measures. Once identified, the state will then be able to justify funding for sea level rise related projects in order to avoid very costly emergency maintenance projects. In order to draw actionable conclusions, the study will answer four main questions. 1. What Caltrans District 7 roadway segments are most vulnerable to climate change-related sea level rise along the State Route 1 corridor? 2. How do the results from this evaluation compare to Caltrans' previous efforts to evaluate sea level rise vulnerability? 3. How do the results from this evaluation compare to Caltrans' previous efforts to evaluate cliff retreat vulnerability? And 4. What are the top 10 roadway segments that will be impacted by sea level rise first? In order to answer these questions, the study analyzed quantitative data in the form of new and old sea level rise and cliff retreat projection data, as well as historical known impacts along the State Route 1 corridor. After comparing these data sets, it was confirmed that while very similar, the newer sea level rise projections were significantly more risk-averse than Caltrans' previous projections, indicating impacts sooner than previously anticipated. Utilizing the newer sea level rise data set, this evaluation was able to identify the two most important takeaways from this process, or questions 1 and 4, which were listing the 10 most vulnerable roadway segments to combined sea level rise and cliff retreat impacts, which is on my right, as well as listing the first 10 roadway segments projected to be impacted by sea level rise to my left. By answering these imperative questions, the study will be able to make several recommendations. One is, although we knew the corridor was very vulnerable to sea level rise, we now have significantly more accurate data to indicate exactly where and when to expect impacts. 2, by updating Caltrans' previous less specific climate change projections, the state can now use this study's sea level rise and cliff retreat specific projections to more exhaustively and accurately justify project needs. And 3, finally, with the passage of IIJA and the potential for sea level rise specific funding, the state may now more easily and successfully apply for sea level rise specific funding sources. Thank you very much.